Last time on Inside 3T.
Here, it's the capsule house from Dragon Ball Z. Okay, look at this right here, though.
Meet Chris.
I'm just blown away, man. It's crazy. So we got our water bottles. Mine's Divine Love. What did you get?
Divine Love. I grabbed Abundance.
In your bottle?
Yeah.
Meet Kira.
Like, oh my god!
Meet Nazareth.
You like that?
Meet Rachel.
We gotta do it. So we should just do the whole thing up here. Start on, we come up on Thursday, the team comes up on Wednesday, and then everybody comes in on Friday. We're here to introduce them, bring them in. This is it.
This is it. This is it. Look at this, y'all. Flowing waters. All right? Real life water. Okay? Alrighty. This is alright. Love this guy right here. Love this guy. And yeah, so we just finished the water ceremony. Yeah, water ceremony. And yeah.
I'm just blown away, man. We're even here and just honored, amazing people. Just we really had no idea what we're coming to, and it's just the abundance, man. It's just crazy. It's like it has total in alignment with what we're working to teach our warriors around fluency, around mind, body, soul connection. The whole thing we just went through was all connection to Mother Earth and life and abundance. And to say things are happening for us right now is an understatement, I would say. It's remarkable.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. Beautiful people all wearing white here, having a great time, enjoying each other, enjoying nature. All right, and now I have to go pee.
The wake that I know of, and then going back to the different types, like each aura feeds off of each other. So projectors flow with generators flow with manifestors, projectors, like it's all energy. And so what the human design calls it is your stream of neutrinos. So neutrinos are little pieces of information that are flowing in and out.
Okay, hold on a second. Now I'm like, okay, hold on here. No, I know we out in the woods, but no. This bathroom right here, now this is slick too. Look, let's check this out. So this is the other bathroom. Check the little, now I guess if you older, you won't be able to really get down like this, but look, it's the step in. Boom, the step in. Look, what? Look at that, the soap on the wall. Then you got the step up to the, like, what? Come on, man. This is, I didn't even show y'all this one. This is, it's incredible, man. Something is up with that, though. It keeps calling me. Let me see. Wait. Oh, I can't even get out here. Is that locked from the inside? No, they got that. Oh. Okay, I can't even get in there.
This place is just abundance, absolute abundance. It's
Absolute
everywhere.
abundance. Absolute abundance. What we got there? Come on now. We're about to eat. Yes. Pure deliciousness. Look at those oranges.
Yeah, that's exactly. Made from scratch.
Up all night, weren't you?
Manifester.
Friends, we picked up from Conscious Meals. The woman, so many synchronicities. They use coffee in their store when they're prepping. I remember I kind of mentioned that earlier, but she's really lovely. And
Meet Jessica. I know you can't see her, but this is who she is. Committed, intimate, passionate. Jessica was the main one in charge of the food, and she didn't disappoint.
they put a lot of love into their food and structure it. And so basically this is the lasagna. I don't know if you guys want to read that or if I should read the ingredients out loud. And the cheese is cashew, nutritional yeast, garlic, lime, salt, coconut yogurt, parsley. In the imitation meat is walnut, sun-dried tomatoes, oregano, cumin, cayenne, garlic, zucchini. And then in the pesto is pumpkin seeds, hemp heart, spinach, carrots, basil, olive, lime, and salt. And then the spring rolls have just a green mix, carrots, cucumber, fennel, avocado, beets. And then in that sauce over there, that is almonds, tahini, and maple syrup.
So I'm working with the copper forks, all right? We got the copper fork, we got the copper cylinder out here.
So good meals. This is unbelievable.
We got the copper meals out. No, I'm
So I got a phone call, and it was from my mom. And so I went to the phone, remember the Razor flip phones? Had a little window on there, it said mom on there. And I woke it up from the phone call. So I pick up the phone, she's like, my mom does not cuss, but that's what she said. She was really upset. She said, what the fuck's going on with you? That you need to read a book called The Secret. I was like, hey, okay. And so now I'm literally still super high. I took a massive amount of opiates. And there's a long story that goes into that, but I'll spare you that story. So there was an unraveling of my life. So I read the book called The Secret. I stumble, I go get the book called The Secret. I have no idea what's going on. Imagine what kind of state of mind I'm in. I'm still super induced into almost, I was like in my own self-induced coma. And so I'm reading The Secret, and then I start saying, looking around I had a bodybuilding company, I had pictures of bodybuilders that I trained all over my walls. And I was like, I am. I'm like, who am I? I kept saying, who am I? Who am I? Like, who am I? And I said, I am. And then I started looking around, and I'm like, holy shit. Everything I asked for, I got. Pictures of huge bodybuilders. Thank you, Coach James. Thank you. Gee, that's funny now. Thank you, John Vasquez. Thank you. I'm like, I wanted to be famous so bad. I wanted it. I was picked on as a kid. Things happened to me as a child. So all that trauma was manifesting through bodybuilding. I was trying to be somebody, right? And so it's important for the story because what I realized is that I got everything I wanted. I was like, holy cow. Wow, I wanted to be famous. I was in a couple magazines. I had a bodybuilding company. I had a club promotion company. I had all the people around me, hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I wanted it really bad, and I focused on it. I got it. But the problem was what I wanted was, around that environment was drugs, alcohol, all the things that came with it. I'm like, okay. So if I got there that way, through the negative side, let me shift it. Let me just start saying positive things about myself. And I was a very insecure little kid. Got something happened to me. I was molested as a child, all this trauma. And so I finally said, you know what? So I was like, I'm going to forgive everything from 31 back, and I'm going to go forward now. And then I started becoming the great I am. I was like, I'm great, I'm powerful, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm abundant, I'm great. And I would say it over and over again. I was getting over drug addiction. And so all of a sudden, I just started to feel this empowerment. I'm like, okay, all these things are up until this point standing here right now, which is getting kind of wild for me in Kev's life. But everything started to flow, and all of a sudden I get a job. And so I get a call, and it says, this goes into crypto, I promise you. So I get a call from a guy that saved my life, and he says, hey, I got a job for you. And he says, okay, so they need you to show up at this interview at a bank. I'm thinking they're making me the janitor or whatever. I was like, that's cool. I just need a job. I have a 3-year-old daughter, or she's 16 now, but she was 3 years old at the point. I couldn't pay my bills. I ran the business into the ground. So I go into this interview, and I bought my suit. I still have the same suit. I bought it 50 cents, Goodwill. I went in there, I'm sitting there, and I was just like, hey, how you doing? Just high energy. I knew that I'm the secret guy now, Bob Proctor. I'm like, I had no idea. In my job, I had no spiritual background. I grew up Catholic. My family was Catholic. We didn't go to church. So I'm sitting there, and she liked me. And so I'm driving away, and she calls me right away, and she's like, we want to hire you. Okay. I goes, what? She's a banker. And so let me back up. I have dyslexia, so I can't, math is very difficult for me. I transpose numbers. And I was like, banker? I was like, okay. She's like, when can you start? I'm like, ASAP. And so I call my mom, and my mom's a big pillar in my life. And I said, Mom, I just got a job. She's like, oh, that's awesome. I said, I'm going to be a banker. And she's like, a banker? She's like, you can't do math. I'm like, I shouldn't be speaking to you right now. I'm just kidding. But I'm like, yeah, I know I can't. But I got a job as a banker. So that's how my banking journey started. So I started this banker journey, and what she said was powerful, though. She said, we like your energy. I was like, okay. So I went in this banker job, and I got really engrossed. Now, at this time, I was broke. I was completely broke. I had a lot of money before. I lost all the money with my drug addiction. Came back, building myself up. I'm going through this. I'm a company guy. Like, I'm in it to win it, right? I'm like, they got the BMW. I'm going to get the BMW. So I said to them, I'm going to be an executive within 3 years. And all the managers were like, no, you're not going to be, no, there's no way. You have to know people, you have to do this. So I created this system. I would wake up before everybody, I'd meditate, I'd pray, I'd do high intensity training. I was going through all this stuff that nobody was doing, and all of a sudden, in 2 years, 7 months, 28 days, I made executive. And again, I was making it over people who were more educated than me. I'm like, okay, there's something to this great I am, right? So then I'm going through this big awakening during this. Now, I got the 535 BMW, the house, I got the big job. Then I get the big job, so I get the vice president. Okay, this is awesome. I'm a made man in banking now. Then they approach me, and they say, we're going to send you to executive banking school. I can't do that. I'm like, okay, so I was a great leader, so I was doing really good, moving up the ranks. And so I ended up in an executive banking school. I was like, I remember flying there going, how the hell is this happening? Because I struggled with math. I mean, that just kept going like banker, math, I'm a good leader. So I'm flying out there, and I get there, and I'm out of my league. I show up, and there's executives from all over the world. You can look it up, it's called CBA Executive Banking School. You become, get a certificate in banking. So I land there, and there was 2 things that I noticed. Well, a couple things I noticed. It was the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever been to South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. It's absolutely beautiful. So I fly in there. I've never been there before. I fly in, and I go to school, and we're at Furman University. We took over their campus while the kids were away on summertime. So there's all these execs from all over the world. There's 2 things that I noticed. I noticed that a lot of the executives self-medicated. A lot of them. It was either Ambien to sleep, tons of caffeine all the time, always drinking coffee, always smoking nonstop, like chain smoking all the time. I'm like, okay. And I was pretty healthy. They called me the Zen executive. And I'm like, this is interesting. It was interesting. And I also noticed, I'm like, why am I the only one that sees how beautiful this place is? This place was, the bricks were built by hand 100 years ago. I'm looking at the bricks, and I'm like, why am I so different? I'm really a black sheep. And so then we got into class, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm out of my league, because they're teaching us this stuff. So the reason why I'm standing here today is because I had to listen real intently. And I know that's the issue, because people are just following a construct that's been created for us for a very long time. And all those executives are sitting in that room following the same construct that's been created for a very long time. And I wasn't accepting it. My brain works backwards. I have dyslexia. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. So I got a tutor, and I'm asking these deep questions, and so we get to a point where we have to build a bank from the ground up, right? And so we're going to fund our banks. And I'm like, okay, let's get this money. Where are we going to get our money from? The Federal Reserve. I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's get the money from the Federal Reserve. And then I'm like, where does that money come from? And they're like, everybody giggles. And I'm like, why is everybody giggling when I say, where's the money? Exactly, that's what it sounded like. And everybody's like, so they go to happy hour, and I go to the library and study. So I started studying Jekyll Island. And I'm like, what the hell happened to Jekyll Island? I need to find out. So then I started studying the elites. And there's an elite group of people in the world that control our whole economy, right? So this isn't conspiracy, this is a fact. There's very wealthy families, so there was Jekyll Island, so some of the most, the biggest people, notable people is J.P. Morgan, who's Chase Bank, right? And you have the Rothschilds, right? So those are one of the two biggest families that were at Jekyll Island. So then I go back again, I'm like, where does this money come from? They said, well, they just print it. How do you just print money? Like, that doesn't make sense. Well, they buy treasury bonds. Well, who makes the treasury bonds? Well, the central bank. And then it trades back and forth. There's really nothing, there's nothing there. It's just coming out of air. And I'm like, okay. I go, that sounds illegal to me. That just sounds illegal. And they're like, well, it's just how the banking system works. That started to piss me off. So I'm like, why does everybody keep saying that's just how it works? That's just how it works. No, John, that's just how it works. And I'm like, but that's not right. That's illegal. And then I said, if I did that, I'd be in jail. And they're like, well, don't question the system. Don't question. I'm like, but why can't I question the system? It was so confusing. So this is it. Goes into the whole weekend why we're all here today. And so I'm going on a walk in the morning. I'm like, okay, now I was attempted suicide. Now I now have a 535i BMW. I have the big house, I have the big backyard, everything you want, right? I have my ex-wife's a beautiful person, beautiful ex-wife, super hot. Like, I got everything you need, right? I'm like, okay, but why am I so miserable? I'm so miserable. And so I was walking, there's this path, and there's a little path that went up, had kanji writing, went up there, and there's like a little Buddhist monk temple. This was a liberal arts college, so they religious studies. So I go up there, and it says, don't go under. So I sat on the steps, and I just start overlooking Greenville, and I got this feeling, you gotta go. You have to leave banking. Shit. I'm like, what? Who is that talking to me now? I'm gaining spirituality now at this point. I think I was. I was listening to Joe Rogan podcast, and it makes you spiritual, right? So I started studying stuff, and I just was like diving down, Paul Stamets and Terrence McKenna. I'd never done plant medicines. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why am I feeling this urge? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have to leave banking. Oh my God, this sucks. So what are my parents gonna say? And I'm like, excuse me, can I cuss? I finally go, who gives a fuck what my parents say? I'm like, they're following a construct that's incorrect. And so I started questioning everything. So I go back to my ex-wife, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna leave banking. What do you mean? She was with me when I was broken, right? She helped me out. And I'm like, okay, I have to leave. And so this is kind of a long journey. So the banking system, let's talk about the banking system. Let's talk about financial literacy. So 1971, so there was two things massive that happened. So Kev pointed this out. The World Economic Forum was created in January. You should study the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, okay? World Economic Forum was created in January 1997. In August 1997, this is really important for you right now, we detached from what's called the gold standard, okay? So when we detached from the gold standard, we became a money printing machine in a debt-based society. If we don't have debt in our system, our economy can't survive. We live off interest. So if all the debt was paid off in the economy, our economy would collapse. So what you're seeing right now within our economy is tons of printing, quantitative easing, right? And what's going to happen is you've heard lower interest rates keep getting lower, lower and lower. And then what you're going to start to see is what's called a CBDC. Okay, central bank digital currency, so now I'll back up. So I'm in Furman University, I'm like, okay, I gotta leave. And so I ended up leaving banking. I walked out of banking, and I started the 3T fitness gym, right? So we're teaching breathing, meditation, high intensity training, and I keep getting called to teach leadership and warrior training, right? And so Kevin and I have been business partners for quite a while, and so I went through an awakening. I went to Peru, and I really wanted to do ayahuasca, and so I went and did ayahuasca. And my life changed forever when I came from there. I said I trained for a year to do ayahuasca. Like Ken came out, I literally did the 2-week protocol before. I did it for a year straight. I was like, I'm going to train my ass off for ayahuasca, because I wanted to change myself from the inside out. The broken little boy. So the boy died, a man was born. When I came back, I became a warrior. When I stepped foot in Arizona, I was like, okay, I'm the warrior now. And I was really confused. I'm like, I gotta tell people this stuff that I know. I have to start expressing this. I have to start telling people. Well, I knew there was gonna be a lot of resistance, a ton of resistance. And sure enough, there's a shit lot of resistance. I came back, Kev witnessed it. I came back and I'm like, all right, guys. So I started to kind of try to wake the group up, like just sharing, and it actually, our business started going south. It was like interesting, because you're a fitness company. You're holding us accountable to our weight loss. I'm like, this is much bigger than fitness. That was our saying. It's much bigger than fitness. And so I kind of got suppressed back into the fitness realm, right? And then this
I call it the C word, I don't want to use it. The pandemic comes and the C word comes. So our business starts to take off in the fitness realm, really take off. So we're like, yeah, success, we're back on track. And all of a sudden the pandemic comes, boom, hits us. We lose 78% of our revenue. Literally seemed like overnight. They shut our business down. And one thing that's powerful about this and why this goes into cryptocurrency and current and water, why we met you guys, it was just freaking wild, is that we realized that money has nothing to do, money is just energy. That's all it is. And what we're heading into is an energetic financial system. All energy, right? The physical construct of your money is going away. The physical construct of money is going away. It's very important to understand that. Okay, so we lost about 70% of our revenue. We couldn't even. We had to let them go. I had to let Kev go. And so Kev shows up the next day and he's like, "I'm working for free, man." And I'm like, "So this is wild." So he said, "No." So we started working for free. So we started helping people for free. This was last year. We're like, "Okay, so we'll just figure this out." We had the funnest time of our life working for free. We just showed up every day. We're like, "Let's do this. Let's do this." Mind you, I have child support. I have all this stuff going on. I'm like, it will always, and it kept working out, and it kept working out, and money would just show up, and money would just. Now I have investors at this point, right? And so in my job, how I got into cryptocurrency, just so you guys know, is I was hustling. I was flipping vacuums. I was going to garage sales. I was selling shit. I was driving Uber, and every single penny I got, I put into cryptocurrency. I put into cryptocurrency. I put into cryptocurrency. At this point, I'm going through a divorce, right? I lost all my assets. And then all of a sudden, I just slowly, methodically started building my cryptocurrency portfolio, right? And so what Kevin and I learned during that time is that money is just energy. And you guys all know this, right? It's just vibration. It's just energy. And because we weren't focused on the money, we were just focused on the people, it just started to flow. And so I had this awakening where I was like, God, I have this system that I created where I'm able to survive even though my business is shut down through cryptocurrency. I'm like, what should I do? I want to tell people about this. There was a lot of resistance, God's like, tell them. I'm like, but what's the risk? Tell them. I'm like, okay, God speaks to me. I talk to God every day. And so we consulted a lawyer. I'm like, what's the risk of me telling people about cryptocurrency? He was like, you're not a financial advisor. Just tell them you're not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just documenting my journey into the quantum financial system. And so I was like, okay. So I started sharing with people what I was doing. I was like, here's my portfolio, here's what I do. And all of a sudden, abundance just, people started joining, right? So what is cryptocurrency? Like, what is it? So we need to back up a little bit. So cryptocurrency, we've been trained in our subconscious mind that cryptocurrency is a fraud. I'm sure you guys have heard that, right? Have you heard cryptocurrency is a fraud? Bitcoin, criminals use Bitcoin. It's used for really bad criminal activities. Well, just so you know, too, wire transfers are used for that, too. Okay, so wire transfers are used for that. Cash is used for that. What they've done is they've created a subconscious mind programming around cryptocurrency and the reasons behind that. Now, this is my paradigm. This is what I believe, right? So I'm not trying to get you to believe in my truth, but this is from what I know from my research. There's a reason why they built that narrative is because what the elites do is they want to push us away from something so that they can buy into something. It's problem, reaction, solution. And then once the whole problem is solved, once the reaction is created, they come up with a solution, which is going to be our quantum financial system. And who becomes very, very wealthy from that? The elites, right? And so what you've heard in 2017, Jamie Dimon said Bitcoin's a fraud. We were in banking when he said that. He said if you buy or sell cryptocurrency, you're a criminal. Criminals use as he's buying Bitcoin. JP Morgan actually has JPM coin, their own coin. So what I want to share with you guys is how this kind of went along. So in 1996, MIT already started creating cryptocurrency. They created the cryptocurrency program. Then we went through a financial crisis in 2008. There was kind of a test. It was like, okay, let's see what happens because we have to think about this real quick. Were any of you guys hurt by the financial crisis in 2008? Do you remember when people were buying homes with no stated income? No stated income. Somebody could walk in with no stated. What that means, they could walk in, no stated income. They could get 5 mortgages. 5 mortgages. So the thing we have to ask ourselves is, who let that happen? Who in the banking system and who in our government let the banks do that? Like they did. They allowed that to happen. That's when I started to understand banking. So I was going into banking when that happened, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this. Like, who's letting this happen? So what they did is they stressed the system. They did it from the financial system down and let it bleed into people. Well, it didn't go far enough. This is my paradigm, right? So then we go into a little bit of prosperity, right? The housing market's coming back, everybody's doing well. Then they start to talk about this thing called the Great Reset, right? So what you're going to start to hear a lot about is the Great Reset, which if it's for what it's designed for, in 2050 we're supposed to be zero carbon. That's great. For like our community and stuff like that, that's Mother Earth, that's everything, but who's created that? The elites, right? So it's zero carbon, it's net zero, same thing. So what we're moving to is a zero carbon, very energy-like world, right? So they started talking about the Great Reset a while ago, so you'll learn this in the World Economic Forum. And then all of a sudden we get hit with the pandemic this year, right? And so what is the what are some things that stand out to you that the pandemic has done to us in regards to how we do our finances or how we interact?
Everything's online.
Everything online.
Less travel.
Less travel, yep.
More fear.
More fear, yep. Less travel, more fear. Money doesn't, we're not moving money around, we're not using cash anymore. We're using a lot of
Coin shortage.
coin shortage.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't even make sense. Never did.
Yeah, so like money's dirty.
How do you run out of coins?
Yeah.
That long, you've been fine.
Out of nowhere.
You know, all that stuff's happening now. So that, now there's a big picture to that, but monetary-wise, what you do is you're going to lock people down, you're going to get them on their phones, you're going to get them used to using that. I believe the next stimulus check is going to come onto a Fed wallet, right? So where we're heading into now, and then I'll answer questions because I can bounce around everywhere, but we're moving into what's called a quantum financial system, right? The beautiful thing about this, for what you guys do with water, and why I think we're standing here right now, is because Kev was reading the book by Bruce Lee's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Fluid Like Water. We're sitting there doing a Warrior interview, and the Warrior says, have you guys ever heard of the human design? And then Kev looks at the human design while we're there, and then all of a sudden we take the human design, and she teaches us our human design.
Wow.
And then I started, when we were sitting out there, and she said, close your eyes and open your eyes slowly. I saw like, in the water, I don't know how to, have you seen like a cryptocurrency transactions, like nodes and numbers? I saw nodes and numbers in the water.
Wow.
Yes, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, it's cryptocurrency, it's water, it's fluid. But that's that was so, like I was sitting there, I was just looking, and here's the thing, when you said, what about your, I'm trying to get emotional, because this is, like when you talked about your childhood, you said, well, what do you remember about money? And I was like, I remember scarcity, like we're always fighting about money. Oh, we don't have enough money, and that was my subconscious mind programming.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you said, look open, I just saw nodes and transactions, and I was like, okay, cryptocurrency. So we're moving from a system that's physical to that's metaphysical. It's energy, it's vibration, right? So what the problem is, though, is we're moving a freight tanker. Like it's like, is your subconscious mind programming around money, right? It's in a bank, and it's $1, and he taught me it's in a box, right? It's in a box. You don't want to think outside that box. It's like, cryptocurrency's a scam, all this stuff. So what is blockchain? Like, what is a blockchain, right? A blockchain is basically a bunch of mathematical formulas that are put together in a very secure transaction. It goes into a block. When that block fills up, it connects to the other block. And it connects to the other block. Now, it's not a block per se. It's just, once that system gets full, it connects, and and it's very, 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 very secure. They say, oh, cryptocurrency is not secure. It's very secure. It's actually way more secure than your bank account, right? And so all this is happening in the quantum realm, just in energy and vibration, which is really interesting. Like, this is so amazing while we're sitting here right now. And so, but the thing to think about, too, is that the way our world is working now is as our whole world moves into the quantum finance, or the fourth industrial revolution. Are you guys familiar with that? Like, we're moving into the fourth industrial revolution.
It's the fourth?
It's the fourth industrial revolution.
Fourth.
So we're another thing to connect.
Hydrated land.
That we're moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. That tripped me out, right? Okay, we were just like, holy shit. Like, we were in the cryptocurrency space, and they're like, we're moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. We're like, from physical construct to, I was like, what the hell is going on? And that's what cryptocurrency is. It's nodes, it's transactions, it's quantum. It's quantum computing, right? And so, and then one thing I want to share with you guys too is like, I don't know if you guys saw the Zoom we did, or the live we did, like, so this pen right here, like, if this was like, well, this is a pen, but if it was like a regular big pen, Like this pen right here, I could make a beautiful picture on it, right? I could also stab someone in the neck with this, right? It could either be used for good, or it can be used for bad, right? So we could take anything, because a lot of things I get is people are like, oh, you're teaching people to market the beast, crypto's the market the beast, and the exact conversation I had is, as the person was telling me this, I know they're sitting there, and I said, so tell me a little bit more about that, share with me. So I wanted to hear from them, I wanted to understand where they were coming from. And they're like, because it's subconscious mind programming. He's like, well, that stuff's evil, it's, the elites are da-da-da. I was like, well, what do you know about it? And I said, well, he said, it's part of the system, they're going to monitor everything. And I said, well, what about the iPhone watch you're talking into? And I said, I know you have an Alexa at your house too. I said, you're already in the system, man. And he's like, well, I said, you're already in the system, like you're being monitored now, so what's the financial thing, what's the difference? So it's about breaking down those barriers of understanding that everything can be used for negative and everything can be used for good, right? And if you look at it, and I said, well, the physical dollar that you carry in your wallet, I said, that's actually being printed out of nothing, and they're lending it over 8 times, so they're actually scamming you. And in the Bible, it says that we're not even supposed to charge interest. I said, do you have a credit card? He's like, well, I do have a credit card. I said, then you're doing something illegal. And it opened up his mind to like, okay. I'm like, because we can take anything and make it evil, right? I'm not going to take this thing is like changing my life, right? Drinking this. I can smash him over the head with it.
Or drown him in it.
Right. So it's like... where you can baptize someone with this, right?
Yeah.
That was like gangster.
Probably the same time.
So where we're heading into is what's called the 4th Industrial Revolution, and that goes into the green, the zero carbon, which is fantastic for our Earth. It's amazing for our Earth, right? Where people get really caught up in is it's the elites doing it, it's the elites doing it. Why does it always have to be the elites, right? We have to realize there's 1% of them and there's 99% of us. Like, let's say that again. There's 1% of them and there's 99% of us. But that's how powerful preemptive programming is. That's how powerful preemptive programming is. The 1% preemptive programmed all of us to follow their system. Starting in 1903, when John D. Rockefeller started the education system and said, I want a society of workers, I do not want educated people. That's his exact words when he created the Education Foundation. So the way you go to school, the way you sit in school, the fact that you go to school for 8 hours a day, you have recess, you have lunch, your work day is 8 hours a day, you go 5 days a week, you have a weekend off, they develop this for us. So why this is so weird with cryptocurrency, because we're literally moving our brain, we're reprogramming our whole subconscious mind to a new reality. And you guys are awakening, right? So it might make more sense to you guys. You gotta imagine when Kevin and I are talking to people, and we got people just like, they want to get their fitness on, like, I want to make some money in crypto. It's like, it's not about that. This is not about making quick money. This is not about getting rich overnight. This is about building your future into a new, like we're building a new world. We're literally building a new world. And you're investing in the infrastructure of that world. So that's how I look at cryptocurrency. Is the way that I do my investing is I'm investing in the new world. I'm investing on how we can get internet to all the people around the world, how we can get people to do transactions. So let's talk about the good stuff in cryptocurrency. There's countries right now that are so poor that it's so expensive to transfer money, that they're so poor they can't even get money out of their country. With these cryptocurrencies, they can move money in seconds for 30 cents, 3 cents. So there's a lot of good that can happen with this, right? So when you think of cryptocurrency, everybody thinks of Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is just a store value. That's all it is. It's clunky. It's expensive to mine. So you guys know how mining works and stuff like that. So I'll explain it. So you basically have a Bitcoin, and so Bitcoin is the first one. That's the brand. And here's another thing we want people to know. So Bitcoin is created by Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. That's kind of weird to me. Like, that's weird. Like, right? Like, we have CIA, we have all these operatives, and we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. It's a big joke, right? I think Bitcoin was created by a government. I really do. I feel it in my heart, in my soul. I feel it, and I think it's so important to do what you guys are doing, the spiritual. Because when you're spiritually investing, it's totally different. When your gut is clear and your mind is clear and your physical body, you have dopamine and you're moving and you're flowing, that's why we made sound investments, right? So Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is just a store value. It's becoming very, very popular because it's scarce. It's very scarce, and every 4 years they mine less of it, and they mine less of it. So there's only a certain amount of it, and once it's gone, right? So once it's gone, it becomes very expensive. So when people get scared about cryptocurrency, they go in there, oh, shit, Bitcoin's 40,000, I can't afford cryptocurrency. But underneath cryptocurrency, there's altcoins. There's thousands and thousands of alternative coins. The problem is there's thousands and thousands of alternative coins, and a lot of them are shitty. And a lot of people get burned because they go into crypto they go in there to get rich. It's like, oh, I'm gonna hit the lottery. I'm gonna go in there. But the best way to go into crypto, if you're gonna go into it, is to go into it to understand the business, like Warren Buffett, right? You're going in, when I invest in a cryptocurrency, I'm investing in that company. It's just like a stock. So when you buy a coin, you bought a part of that company. And you own part of that company. You own stock in that company. And so all the cryptos that I invest in, they have real world solves. The leadership team, I know exactly where they came from. So the understanding of Bitcoin is a store of value, right? It's clunky. Then you have what are called altcoins that have real world solves. Like for example, you'll hear XRP. There's a big thing going on with XRP because they're being sued by the SEC. But XRP solves our cross-border payment problem, right? So the way that our system works now is on a SWIFT system, which was built 50 years ago. We can't move into the quantum financial system on the SWIFT system. We can't, unless they change their system to the quantum financial system. So SWIFT is like if I go to wire transfer, and I go to St. Chris Wire, and he's in Europe, and we're buying a property, right? So I go into a bank, and I sit down in front of a banker, and I'm like, I need to send Chris a $5 million wire. So I sit down, we gotta make sure that banker gets it right, because if they don't get it right, that's big trouble, right? So the banker finally gets it right, gets a manager approval, I have to pay $150 to send that wire. It goes up through currencies, through the Federal Reserve, all the way back down to him in Europe, right? So when he gets that currency, what if there's a fluctuation in the currency? Right? Or maybe he gets something wrong, and there's a $30,000 discrepancy. The bank actually owns that discrepancy, right? So what happens is the solve that XRP or the cryptocurrency does is I walk in now, and I'm like, I need to send him $5 million. It moves in 3 seconds for 3 seconds for 30 cents. So it's solving that cross-border payment problem, right? So you can't move into the quantum financial system with the old banking system. So that's one thing. We are moving to the quantum financial system. So when people tell you we're not going into cryptocurrency, we are going into cryptocurrency. There's no doubt about it. It may be regulated different. It may look a little bit different. Let me pause for just a moment. That was a bounce around the board. What questions do you have? Yes. What question? No, stretching. Yeah. I know it's like I'm verbally vomiting on you guys.
No,
you're perfect.
We're all aware
This is
of,
fam.
like, at least the basics of
Cool.
this, too.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, we talk about all of
Okay,
this.
cool, awesome. Okay, so I
We
just
love your passion.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yes.
Yes, the guy that needs the answer.
Next time on Inside 3T.